Triple XP. Triple XP.
Hello and welcome to Triple XP Podcast. We are gaming news and more, basically. And you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, and all the other good places. And today we've got Shane with us.
Hello.
Hello. And we have Ryan, our blog writer. So who the fuck are you, Ryan?
Hi guys. I'm the one that's got the very, very pressured role of being the first guest, but also the one that brings your opinions to life on the paper and tweets and in the blog. So no pressure. You have to actually read the blog because I'm here now. So I do exist.
He is real.
True. We didn't make him up. It's not just one of us ghostwriting.
Just by the pen name of Ryan.
I mean, no one would pick that name up like on their own anyway. I don't think.
Just
So
Ryan.
One of Mike's many catfish names. He's the
just
great
Ryan.
catfish barber.
Just Ryan, nothing else. No second name.
The good thing for all
like
you
Cher,
podcast listeners, I can confirm that Shane is Shane. I have met Shane, but I cannot confirm that Mike is not a catfish. He may also be catfishing me.
And maybe.
Dulcet tones. So, yes.
Yeah, so Ryan is a part of the Triple XP team, as you said, and he's someone that I've known for 20 plus years now. And we've played many a game together. And he shares some very interesting and different views, as well as some very similar views to me on gaming. And we often have arguments, so he's going to be a great guest today.
You pride yourself on that fact, and you tell a lot of people that we disagree almost daily, mainly about video games.
It's almost like a badge of honour at this point.
I mean, me arguing and forcing my opinion on people is pretty much my daily job. So
it's also not a difficult badge to earn.
No, it's not. No, it's not. But anyway, Ryan, is there anything else you wanna say before we move on?
Thank you for having me. Obviously, listened to it last week. Really good. Really enjoyed it. I'm really excited to see where it goes. So yeah, I'm glad to be a part of it.
Wonderful. Right. Cool. Well then, let's move into what we've been playing, shall we, Mike?
Yeah, let's do it. So
do you want to kick it off, Mike?
This week? I'll tell you what, we'll let our
guest kick it off.
Our guest kick it off,
yeah. Come on, Ryan, what you got for us this week?
Wow, I mean, I have recently come into a fair bit of time, what with the COVID situation and a redundancy, which is always pleasant, but it has meant that my backlog has been getting smaller and smaller. And one major game that was on my backlog, which Shane, you have been assisting me with and actually was discussed last week, is Divinity. So we've been playing a lot of Divinity, and we've found that we always want to go back, even once we've done it, even if we've been horrible bastards and we've killed an entire fort. We wake up in the morning, we're still like, I just want to go back again and do that other quest. I just need to poison some more people and set more people on fire. And there's just something about that game at the moment that just kind of, it's got its claws in me. I mean,
we've become a bit obsessed. We've
very much so.
Because I've been working at 6 a.m. this week, and I'm finding myself at 5 to 6 in the morning texting Ryan about what we're going to do on Divinity when I get home. Like, that's how obsessed we are. Like, oh, let's go do this quest. Oh, let's go do this quest. Oh, I was looking up last night, Ryan, about this quest because I was a bit unsure about it.
Yeah. Despite us finishing that game probably 5 hours prior to you waking up anyway. You don't leave it much time really between stopping playing Divinity and going to work.
But to give you an update, Mike, because obviously last week when we discussed this, we were level 4, and we were still in the fort. We're still in Fort Joy, and we hadn't actually escaped the fort at that point technically, but we had got the escape sort of quest line. We've now left the fort. We can tell you that there is not a single person alive in the fort at all, apart from 2 children and 2 elves in the cave.
Naturally, the unkillable children.
Literally, we've murdered everyone.
Not
And
for lack of Shane trying.
some people we didn't even want to murder. They just got in. We got in an argument, and then they were like, "Oh, draw your weapons," so we had to kill them.
You just had to. There's no other choice.
You'll find that Shane
no.
sells all of our stuff to the traders, then pickpockets them, and is always caught, and therefore we get thrown into a fight. He says it's not his fault, but I think he set out with the intention of triggering that fight anyway. So
This sounds so similar to when we all played, like me, you, Aaron, and Shane, where Shane was just running around, getting in fights. We were just kind of like playing clean up.
the one thing you learn very quickly, especially playing a game like Divinity with Shane, is you are at Shane's mercy, because whether you want to fight them or not, you're fighting them. It's done. It's written, and it's not a question of when. It's not a question of like, is this person going to be killed or are we going to fight them? It's when. Like, have they got a relevant quest? Yes. Right. You have a purpose until that purpose is no more, and then you're dead. Do you have a purpose? Yeah. No, dead.
And I found what I've discovered is if you sell things to people and take all their money and then murder them, you can take all the stuff back off them again. So it's just efficient business, man, really.
Every time you play a game, you just find a really efficient way to murder people, shit.
Just a really efficient murder.
The weirdest thing is, though, is that people play video games to escape their daily grind, and yet Shane seems to be gravitating back to how he lives his normal life anyway. It's really weird. It's really strange situation.
A mass murderer.
Did I say that are we recording?
No, we are enjoying it, though, and actually, this time round, we've discovered a lot of quests that I never got round to doing the first time. Either I never found them, or I was too weak and too shit at the game to do it myself. And our team's very much fallen into actually quite a good team now that bounces off each other quite a lot and works well with each other. So no, really enjoying that.
Yeah, it's just one of those games. Oh, sorry, Ryan, go on.
I was going to say it takes up a lot of time.
Yeah, it's just off the back of that, it's one of those games that you can just pour hours into, and the more you put into it, the kind of more you get out as well.
There's a sickening feeling when Shane turns around and says, "You realise this island is only like 10% of the game," and I'm sitting there when I save it, I'm like, "We've played this for short on 17 hours."
17 hours of Port Joy. Yeah, but it's like a 60 to 90 hour game, isn't it?
I'm hoping that I get a job. The way that Shane plays, because there's a 60 to 90 hour if you're going through and sparing everyone. It's not accounting for killing every single NPC in the game.
Yeah, so double that.
Double it, at least.
Yeah. Look, right, the combat is really good in it. I just like fighting things. Right.
You'll find that things just end up on fire, and that is it. I might tweet the picture out later on.
Shane.
Shane decided to sort of. He thought he was sitting pretty down on the floor, and he just cast a spell, and I don't know if it missed or what, but the entire floor was on fire. There was nowhere that you could go. And to be honest, every battle since has just been that. It's been either the floor is poison, then the floor is fire, the floor is fire, then the floor is fog, then the floor is poison fog, and then the floor is back to fire again.
Poison fire fog.
Honestly, it's. I mean, the only one I can think of. It's a shit show. Yeah, I agree.
It's an absolute mess.
So
but yeah, that's.
Yeah, so Shane, what have you been? You've been playing Divinity as well, but what else have you been up to?
Yeah, well, that's the only game I've actually had a chance to play this week between work and putting in 16 hours of Divinity. I haven't had much time to play anything else. But what I have really got into, and it's slightly off from the gaming tangent, is Cobra Kai. I am obsessed.
I'm so glad you mentioned this.
Absolutely obsessed. I know Ryan hasn't seen it, and this will be spoiler free.
Yeah, no spoilers.
But I like the Quiet Kid film. I think it's a great film. It's not. I don't think it's not one of my favorite films. It's not one I go back to and watch a lot. It's a good film. but it's not amazing in my opinion. It's not like a brilliant film.
It wasn't one of
Um,
my favourite films, and then I watched Cobra Kai, and then I went back and watched it, and I was like weirdly emotional watching it. It was really weird. But
I was
Because
about to ask that question. Have you both watched it since watching Cobra Kai then? Like,
I've
you
not
have,
finished
like,
Cobra
sort
Kai
of...
yet,
Okay.
so I might go back and watch it after I finish Cobra Kai.
So-
But it does a lot of because and Mike, because having rewatched the film recently, it has that whole essence of the history repeating itself.
yeah, it does. Yeah.
And but a lot of the stuff it does, I think it does better than what the film did, like the way that it tackles certain subjects.
Yeah,
Um,
it's definitely has a more modern take on everything.
It does, and
obviously, but it's still got the heart of like an 80s film, even down to like the soundtrack and everything. It's
100%. It is an 80s teen drama with karate, which is literally my favourite sentence. That is a thing.
what more do you
But
need?
Well, exactly. But the good thing with the show that I'm finding really interesting is because the film very much focuses on Daniel LaRusso and him as being the Karate Kid, and the focus is so much on him that you never really learn much about the other characters.
Yeah,
Whereas this flips it all on its head, and there are
flips
scenes
the
where
script.
it literally does do that. There are scenes where they talk about things that happened in the film, but they're talking about it from the perspective of the other characters, and then you start to think, well, actually, Daniel LaRusso wasn't as nicey pie as he's like portrayed in the film.
Yeah.
And it just really makes you sort of think about the different perspectives of bullies and those involved in these like high school battles.
Yeah.
I do think it's absolutely ridiculous though that they live in a town where you win a single under 18s karate championship and all of a sudden you are like king of the fucking world. Like
Is that not how
every
it
girl
works?
wants to date you.
That's-
Everyone wants to be you because you can do karate.
That's just how it works in America, I'm sure.
That's it. Yeah, just go
I
to
don't-
America, learn karate, and you can be famous, basically.
I did karate when I was a kid, and I never got that kind of satisfaction. Although, to be fair, I was shit at it. So it's
Yeah, no,
You gotta be the
were
best,
good at
man.
it.
yeah. I mean, I'll be honest. You're probably going to lose some respect for me now, but I have not actually seen Karate Kid either. So
Well, we know what you need to go away and do, and then write a blog about.
yeah, well, I'll be back, guys. Thanks for having me.
Go now.
But I mean, I started watching it Wednesday, and between Wednesday and us recording today, which is Friday, I have watched the entirety of season 1, and I'm 3 episodes into season 2. And season 2 is developing very nicely.
It's not a spoiler, but the end of season 1 is so good. It's just yes,
that
it's
whole
so good.
final episode.
Yeah.
It's just so well done, and even the amount of like different karate styles you see, it's so well done.
Yeah, it's really fucking cool.
And I think, like, for cheesy acting, it's actually quite enjoyable acting. There's nothing about the show that makes me go, oh, this is lame. Like, everything's done in a really, like, packaged really, really well. And as I say, I went into it thinking, I'm probably not going to like this. I like the film, but it's not all that. I'm probably going to end up coming away from this thinking, meh. And I fell in love within half an episode.
Yeah.
Halfway through the first episode, I was like, right, this is for me. I've just seen a grown man do karate on kids. This is what I want in my life.
Karate
Well,
on kids.
On kids,
On them,
kicking them
at
and
them,
shit,
all around them, in and
and
around
while
the face.
playing like 80s Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
What more do you want in life?
But
I'm sold.
it's that
I'm
kind of
sold.
cheesiness where it's just good, and it doesn't make you angry watching it. Like it's just
It's
just
just a
so
wholesome
yeah.
teen drama. Just a wholesome teen drama with karate and
So
weird 80s undertones.
Here's a question for you then: Is it a Netflix show that you sit down and you watch, almost like you dedicate your time to watching it, or is it one of these Netflix shows that you put on while doing something else, like the Switch or something else like that? Where does it stand within that for you?
I can't take my eyes off the screen when I'm watching it.
Yeah,
Right.
for me, I very rarely watch a lot of TV. I'll watch a series, and if it doesn't grab me, it'll just be on in the background. And like originally had the intentions of just having it on in the background while they did other stuff, and they just ended up sat there, my baby, like we were both watching it, just having the best time.
So is your baby going to become the Karate Kid then? Is that the aspiration
Yeah,
that you currently
she's
have?
training. She's in training right now.
Nice. I look forward to that.
Just before we move on, Ryan, can we just confirm that when you do go away after tonight and watch The Karate Kid, can you please, for the love of God, watch the original and not the remake? Otherwise, we're going to be having a very different discussion in the future.
God, yeah. Don't even bother.
I will dedicate the time to watching both the original and the remake.
No, don't even touch the remake.
Too late.
Go
I've
near
already
it.
committed to it. I've committed to it. It's
You can
happening.
watch Karate Kid 2, where he trains the girl. That's fine. That's not a bad film. But
Yeah, I've seen that
don't
one.
even go near the remake.
No, I have
It's
seen that
alright,
one, but
it's
it's
not
years
bad.
ago.
It's not bad. It's not bad. It's not as good as the first. It's basically the first one again,
Yeah.
but with a girl. It's literally the exact same story, but with a girl.
Does it end the same way? Because
I
everyone knows
can't
how
actually remember.
Karate Kid ends. That's the thing.
That's true.
Everyone knows. It's one of those films that you just got to go into just knowing it, whether you've seen it or not. Like it's one of those classic films that the sort of the first 90 minutes means nothing because you already know who
Yeah.
wins and who loses.
It also has one of the most memorable men in TV, Mr. Miyagi.
Okay, yeah.
Oh,
Everyone
yeah.
knows who Mr. Miyagi is.
What an absolute lad! You know what? After watching that, I'll post a picture on Twitter later. My screensaver on my Mac is Mr. Miyagi's like approval nod.
Amazing.
That's how much
Amazing.
I loved Cobra Kai. It's just like I need this man approving of
so
my
good.
every action on when I use my Mac.
I can't decide which karate style I like more. The defensive Miyagi though, or the strike first, no mercy of Cobra Kai.
I don't know. I think it's all about being a badass.
Yeah, so do I. I think it's all about being Cobra Kai. But
Yeah,
anyway, I
Cobra
think
Kai.
we should probably move on from Cobra Kai because we could be sitting here talking about that all night long.
Yeah, to be fair.
The one final thing I'd like to do there is an aspiration for this podcast. You've got to get Mr. Miyagi on here.
I mean, that's going to be a stretch.
I mean, it's going to be a real stretch.
Yeah, considering he passed away like 5 years ago or something.
We can work with it. Trust me. If you don't see these
think
deep
any of
fakes
us-
and stuff, we can do it.
Ooh,
Leave that with me.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Leave that with me.
Don't
know
let
how
your
I feel
dreams
about
be dreams.
taking a dead legend onto our podcast.
We'll see.
So yeah, we're going to be adding a fourth segment, guys. It's called Dead Legend.
Just bust out a Ouija board and we'll go.
It could work. It could work. Trial and error, baby.
So, Mike, what have you been playing anyway?
This week I've gone full Greek mythology, and I'm replaying God of War, which I know is Norse, the latest one anyway. But I've just been so excited about Ragnarok that I was just like, I need to go back in. I need to redo it. I need to get the platinum on it as well. So
Yeah,
I've
I'm
just
looking
been
forward to
just
replaying
started-
it as well, to be honest.
yeah. I just started a new game, not New Game Plus. Just started again. I'm just having a really nice time. I even like Atreus. I think he's a pretty good character, although he's really annoying and like a little brat. But I can relate to that because I'm a dad, so I'm used to a little brat.
Yeah, he's portrayed very well in that game.
Yeah,
Very well.
he's so good.
Did you not like him first playthrough then?
I mean, he's just a bit of a dick, isn't he? Let me get like
Yeah,
mid game.
Is he a dick or is he just a child?
I mean, he's a dick. He's
Okay. A dick he is.
yeah, he's just he's just full of attitude, and he's like,
In fairness,
He lacks discipline, doesn't he? That's the problem. And it's that the superiority complex he kind of has.
yeah, but in fairness, you know when you're young and it's like, oh, my dad can beat your dad. If your dad is fucking Kratos,
yeah, no one's messing
gonna
with
have a bit of an attitude problem.
no one's messing with Atreus in the schoolyard, are they? Let's face
Yeah,
it.
exactly. He gets pushed over. Well, my dad is literally the god of war, and he's going to come fuck you up. Like, soz, mate.
With your shit karate.
My god has killed pantheons of gods. What's your dad done?
Heaps of gods.
Heaps of gods.
How are you finding going back to it? Are you having the same enjoyment as the first time you played through, or are you tackling it in a different fashion to the first time you played it?
No, you know what? I think because I obviously know the story and stuff, so I'm just kind of like absorbing the world a bit more now, and I'm not trying to like. Because when I get into a game, I'm like, I'll either go from want to play absolutely everything, like with The Last of Us 2. I really wanted to explore like every tiny little bit and thinking I'll get the platinum the first the first playthrough. But with God of War, I was just like, I could explore, but I need that story. I need to keep going, and I really pushed through towards like mid game to the end. I really pushed through it. So this time round, I'm really exploring and just trying to find every little nook and cranny and absorbing all of the story and lore.
It's interesting you say that because it is such like an immersive world, and they built such a great game from it, like beginning to end, that they give you all this extra stuff, and we're almost conditioned now to feel guilty that we aren't doing it. And you get to that point where and I was the same as you. I spent the start of God of War doing everything, like going exploring, just searching everywhere, just trying to find it. And then actually, I felt like I was losing momentum in the story itself, and therefore, in my first playthrough, I just like pummeled it through towards the end because I wanted that urgency and that kind of that story narrative to carry me through. Because if you have that urgency and then suddenly you kind of go, actually, I've got to go all the way back to do this, this, and this, you lose the story that it does so well to build.
Yeah.
So it's quite interesting actually that I wasn't the only one to sort of have that problem.
But I think some of the best moments in that game are when you're in the boat and the head guy, I can't remember his name.
Mimir, is it?
Yeah, that's it. Where he's telling you a story and lore about like all of the Norse mythology, and I think those are like such cool moments. I remember when I first started playing it, I'd just sit in the boat and wait. I'd reach my destination, because if you get off, he stops the story, doesn't he? So I'd just sit and wait and like listen to the story, and I just want more of that and more of the lore.
See, I do find that and particularly with that genre of game, particularly with the story-driven action style of games, where I'd find that I generally on that main playthrough, I don't stop to do all of the side stuff, and because I find that the story is often paced so well that when you come away from that story pacing, sometimes the pacing feels then off because you've gone off somewhere else that feels completely out of what you've been doing and slows the pacing to a different puts the pacing in a different direction. And those sort of games are ones I always find that it included Last of Us, to be fair, they're ones I always find that I kind of just have to plow through at the pace the game wants me to do the story at, because otherwise I find it becomes a bit sort of almost discombobulated as to the pacing of what's going on, because I'm too busy fanning about in this random cupboard looking for a book or a comic book or some shit that they put there to make me find later for when I come and do my second playthrough. That I find it quite hard to not just like today to tie away from the story on my first playthrough on most of those type of games.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that, to be fair.
Yeah, me too.
I think like PlayStation are like hitting you with those really well paced stories. We're also trying to expand the world to make them bigger and like, kind of worth that now £70 price drop.
Would you say that they're hitting you with their best shot?
Yes,
Almost,
you know
almost first
with God of War, it's a nice shot to the face.
A nice arrow straight into the skull.
Shot through the heart. I've also, carrying on the Greek mythology theme, I've been playing Hades on the Switch. I picked it up last night, the night before, and I went to bed all tucked up in my Switch because it is the bedtime console. We just play it for like an hour or so before bed.
Makes you sleepy.
Yeah.
Makes me so sleepy when I play
Hades
Switch
is
in bed.
so fucking good, man. It is so good. It's like
first question. Yeah, that's what I was about to say. What is it? Because I've never heard of it or seen it or played it.
Yeah. It's basically a roguelike, a bit similar to Dead Cells, but it's made by Supergiant, who don't make bad games. They made Bastion,
I'm
Transistor,
aware of Bastion.
and Fire.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm aware of all those games. They're all very, very good games.
Yeah, they're all
Very
good.
very artsy as well. They look really good.
But yeah, the art style in Hades is spot on. It's so good. All of the characters have their own unique personalities and stuff like that, all voice acted. But it's just a real joy to play. Like,
Lots of
So
sexy
is
Greek
it,
gods in it and goddesses.
Is it do you play as a single character in it within the story, or is it you just have a character that's like, is there like a bunch of different characters with different move sets?
yeah, so you play as the son of Hades.
Yep.
And
So Zangarus, is it?
yeah. And you're basically trying to escape from hell. So you go up level by level, hence the roguelike element of it. Where you take different branching paths and stuff on the way through, and then you'll reach like a boss level. I only got to the first boss, who is a slight spoiler, but it's Megara.
Mhm.
Is it Megara? I'm
Yeah.
terrible at like the Greek names, but I know you're a massive history buff, right, Ryan?
I mean,
So
he's got a degree.
Oh yeah,
He's got a degree.
there we go.
Yeah, this is the thing. So,
That's literally just I've just literally just remembered that.
I
So
was
you're
like,
probably better at taking the lead on this game. To be fair, if you've
I
played
was
it.
kind of letting you just sort of just chat through it because it's interesting because I had the same experience in terms of buying it as you did, but mine was last night. So I was
Yeah.
I'm in erring with this game for a while because I don't really do roguelikes, but I am always like partial to anything that is ancient Greek,
Yeah.
ancient Roman, ancient Norse because I've got a degree in ancient history. So I love the world. I love the gods in particular. So I was touring around with this. Came off of Divinity last night from Shane. I was like, sod it. I'm just gonna take the plunge. And especially seeing as Nintendo Store said that this is on offer for 3 more hours. I was like, well,
Well, I
kind
have
of it'd be rude not to, wouldn't it?
to.
Yeah. So I've not got to the boss yet. So thank you for spoiling it for me. But no, yeah, Megara. She's one of the many wives, concubines, whatever of Zeus. Quite an important person actually in Greek mythology. But I really enjoy it. I really enjoy the fact that it's a different take, especially when you think of what other sort of Greek games are out there at the moment. Sort of AC Odyssey takes itself quite seriously to a certain extent.
Yeah, this is much more light-hearted.
Yeah, definitely. It's good fun. It's a good fun hack and slash. A little bit of like tactic. You've got to think about what you're doing. It's not complete permadeath to the point where you get reset, which is nice.
I think that's like the best type of roguelike where
Agreed.
you'll die, but you won't lose all of your progress and have to like start from the beginning. Kind of like how
It's
Dead Cells
punishing,
does
but
it.
not.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like Dead
Well,
Cells
that's
will.
what I was.
Oh, sorry, go on.
No, I was just gonna say that's my next question is how punishing is it? Because I'm not particularly good at roguelikes, and I always find them particularly hard. Is it a difficult one to pick up and play?
I mean, I'd say it's one of the more fair ones because you do have to like. I've only made it to the first boss and a little bit beyond that before I died, but you'll get like upgrades. You'll get currency, and then when you get sent back, you can kind of upgrade in your room, which will obviously help you to get further the next run, and then the next run, and then the next run. You'll eventually like. So it's kind of like an RPG light-ish roguelike in a sense, and you'll unlock different different weapons and stuff as well.
It doesn't punish you too much for playing the way you want to play either. Like when you get the options, you can focus on which and where and what abilities you kind of upgrade. So is it your dash? Is it your attack? Is it your special attack? So it encourages that. And as far as I'm aware, I mean, I haven't looked into the meta if there is one. If there is like a clear win to the top, I think in general it's like, guys, here's a choice. Do what you feel comfortable with, use what you like, and crack on. I had a lot of fun with it when I was playing it last night, so I'll probably give it some more go tonight.
I stayed up like 2 hours longer than what I wanted to. I went to bed for an early night and then ended up staying up really late playing it.
Standard.
Yeah.
It's pretty standard.
I get moaned at by my partner though because the buttons keep clicking. So I either have to go back downstairs or I just turn it off.
Oh man, that's so relatable.
So just before we move on then to segment 2, Ryan, you were saying before we started recording tonight that you're doing some pretty interesting things with regards to Pokemon. Do you want to just talk us through what that is?
Yeah, so it's so interesting. I don't, the demographic of Pokemon is very, very fluid at the moment. I would say. So some people love it, some people hate it. At the moment, one of the things that's going on is online. You can sign up for something called the Players Cup 2, and the best performing players of this sort of long weekend, so of battles. So it started today and Sunday at midnight. Then go through to a next round and qualify to actually go through into money and reward winning games. So you build your team of 6, double battles, standard VGC rules, which I will say to you guys as if you know what that is and what I'm talking about. If it's something that people are interested in, I'm more than happy to, but I don't want to spend too much time on it. The idea is that I can play 15 games a day, so 15 today, 15 tomorrow, 15 Sunday, and depending on how well I do, depends on if I qualify or not. I can tell you now, this is Friday. I still have 5 more games to play today, and then 30 more over the weekend. I will not be qualifying. I have done really badly. I misjudged the meta. I misjudged my team, and I've been getting spanked. I think I've done 10 games. I've won 3.
Well, that
So
answers the question I was about to ask then.
yeah, I'm ranked at about 6,500th in the UK, and I think the top 250 go through. So everyone else has to have a really bad weekend, and I have a cracking one. Otherwise, I'm going to be very much waiting for Player Cup 3 to come through.
I was about to say, you said Player Cup 2. Does that mean you're not good enough for Player Cup 1? But clearly you're not.
This is like the sequel to Player Cup 1. I think COVID has kind of encouraged people to just battle from their home, from their beds next to their partners before they get kicked out of bed. So, yeah, that's the life of a Pokemon Master now. Although, to be fair, I'm more of an Ash than a Pokemon Master because he can't win anything. So.
Well, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah,
And,
that's something I didn't realise was a thing. So
There's like Pokemon, like competitive Pokemon is like massive still, right? And when you start looking at it, and like most people, like Sword and Shield, looking back at them now and playing through Shield again at the moment, very average games, if I'm honest. Like compared to the rest of the franchise, they're average. But
I've been screaming this for a long time.
You have,
I've really fallen off the Pokemon wagon.
I mean, anyone that's sort of spoken to me knows I am a huge Pokemon evangelist. I will scream about Pokemon, but even I'm losing steam with it now. I think Crown Tundra, the next DLC, will be a lot of it'll be the make or break to a certain extent, but the competitive side is still going pretty strong, and it's always quite interesting to watch because it's not it's more of a strategic game of chess and trying to figure out what your opponent's going to do, which is where the fun in it comes because you're kind of like, okay, well, they've got this, they could do this, they could do this. So you're not worrying about the Pokemon they're catching anymore. You're kind of just guessing what that boy is probably like an 8-year-old on the other side is going to do, and they just batter me anyway. So
just getting his shit absolutely wrecked by an 8-year-old.
Yeah, it's good fun. It's something I'd like to get into more, but I think I'm far too old.
Well, I mean, A, good luck,
Thank you.
B, I'm glad you spoke about a strategic game of chess, two sides battling it out, because that very much links into our next area, heading into the news.
Ooh.
And Xbox and PS5 pissing match.
This has been
our first piece of news.
A big one, hasn't it? It's been a hot topic.
It has been a hot topic, and we covered last week the core, the core announcements and their big. Here's how much you're gonna cost, and here's what's coming. We still don't have enough information from Sony. They're still being very. They're just. I mean, they're showing off the games, which is the right thing to do, but they still haven't given us enough information about the console. Microsoft have still got some questions that they need to answer. But what I want to talk about this week is they both had their pre-order launches happen, and they both absolutely fucked it in different ways. So Sony had theirs just before we released episode 1. So it was on the Thursday prior to the first episode of the podcast, and they announced it the night before, which gave everyone absolutely zero time to be able to prep, get to a shop, know what they're doing, have money around it. When it was chaos, we woke up the next morning, we found that some sites went live at midnight and were already sold out. There was some shops that had oversold, and we're now sending back emails to apologize to people and saying that they've had to cancel their order. Luckily, yeah, it was mad. Luckily, me and Ryan both went to Amazon, and they started theirs at 9 a.m. UK time, and we managed to bag one pretty quickly. But they had sold out within 10 to 15 minutes. You didn't get an opportunity to get one, did you, Mike?
No, I've you know what? I've not gone into rush and just been like, I need to pre-order one, because I'm still waiting on the information that they need to release, like about UI and features and stuff like that.
Yeah,
all shit.
We are still waiting on that.
It's like I'm just not feeling the pre-order yet. So
just a point. I mean, I personally, I think we've spoken about this before, Shane. I think that Sony have the stocks available, and I think they're testing the water. I think that it's a false sort of panic.
Yeah.
Which it might be, and if they did do that, that's fine. If that's what they were doing, they still made an absolute hash brown of it because they even said months ago, don't worry, we'll give you plenty of advance warning, and then they told you like less than 6 hours prior to midnight that they were going live the next day.
Because I remember I was up and I watched that thing. I went to bed. I think I was actually playing the Switch. I then checked my phone. I was thinking, right, let's get ready for the PlayStation pre-order. And I think I messaged you, Shane, actually at 2 o'clock saying, game is live. Shit.
They've already gone.
Oh, actually,
they've already sold out.
And
they've already sold out by that point.
Yeah, I was like, oh my god, this is how it's going to go. And the whole thing, there was no signposting, nothing. I
received an email from a retailer at 11 minutes past midnight saying they are now live. They'd already sold out by the time that email had got into my inbox. That's how ridiculous it was.
Yeah, it's just fucked, isn't it?
But it was comical because Microsoft followed it up with a couple of digs via Twitter to say, like, don't worry, we will be telling you well in advance of when ours is. You'll have a time, you'll have a place, you'll know everything, which we did. Everyone knew it was on the 22nd. They gave all the information you need. There was a list of all the stores that were going to be involved, and it was still a shit show.
I absolutely love this. It's like that tweet was like that one kid at school that'd be like, "Watch this, guys," and then he'd like kick a football and it'd bounce off a wall and hit him in the face. It's exactly like that.
Yeah,
it literally is. The amount of people that have said online, like, I managed to get a PS5 and I still couldn't even get an Xbox. Like, it was so difficult. Two of our friends, so a friend of mine from work, Jamie, he was messaging me in the morning that it was happening, and he had logged on very early and he'd sat in a queue for like 2 hours to try and get one. He was on multiple different websites, including Microsoft's own website, which also crashed.
Yeah,
so their own store couldn't handle it. So, because I know a lot of people have said, oh yeah, but part of it's down to the retailers not being prepared. Well, fucking Microsoft, they couldn't handle it. That they are their own retailer and they still couldn't handle it. We had another friend who sat in another retailer's queue for 2.5 hours, only for the website to be taken down when you got to the front of the queue.
Yeah.
It was just an absolute shit show, and most of the people were finding that by the time they did get to a point that they could purchase one, there was only S's left.
Yeah.
All the X's had gone, and it was like either they had held back on the amount of stock they had on the X and there wasn't as much stock, and they had balanced the stocks wrong for the X and the S, or they just completely underestimated how much the X was going to sell over the S. But it was chaos that morning. So like you say, it was comical in that they gave Sony the big one only to fuck up themselves in a completely different way.
I'd really like to see the like the first day pre-order sales statistics, because I think Xbox, and I think this is like a neat little segue into our next segment.
Indeed.
Yeah, Xbox. The day before dropped an absolute bombshell. The day before pre-orders went live, which
It
was
was a bombshell as well.
Yeah, doozy.
they bought ZeniMax Studios for 7.5 billion, which is an insane amount.
It's pocket change. What are you talking about?
I mean, when you look at Disney, they bought Star Wars for like 3.5 million
War,
less
wasn't
than
it?
that,
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah, and if you look at when they purchased Minecraft, which was already a fully established massive game, that cost them 2.3 billion, I think
Yeah,
it was.
yeah.
It was 2 point something, I know that.
We should probably just explain, like, if you don't know who ZeniMax are, they are like the parent company to Bethesda, id Software, which are like, company legend, like game developing legends. And then there's Arcane Studios who do like Dishonored. And there's a few other studios in there as well. That
Hold on, I can tell you who they are.
I think one's
So-
like Tango, which I don't know what they've done in the past.
They're kind of a big deal.
Are they?
ZeniMax.
ZeniMax in general, yeah.
ZeniMax are huge, yeah.
Yeah, ZeniMax are they are a big deal, and not many people hear the name ZeniMax itself because then it's not thrown about that much.
It's the studios that get the sort of the attention, the kind of the kudos, as it were. The ZeniMax are the ones that are the umbrella.
Yeah.
They shelter all these people and have just sold their.
It's one of those names that you see at the start of a game.
Yeah.
If
So-
you know, like one of your favorite games,
Yeah.
like Skyrim and stuff.
So Alpha Dog Games, Arcane Studios, Bethesda Softworks, which includes Bethesda Game Studios in 3 different locations, id Software, which we know is responsible for some of the Doom titles recently,
And
Machine
Rage
Games
as well.
and Rage, yes, Machine Games, Roundhouse Studios, Tangle Gameworks, and then they also have their own ZeniMax Online Studios. So quite a few studios there, and Machine Games being the ones that made the Wolfenstein games.
Yeah. But I think.
Tango Gameworks is one I don't particularly know. Oh, Evil Within was Tango Gameworks.
Oh right, okay, yeah. I wasn't sure who they were, but Evil Within, it's a pretty good title. But I think like the biggest one there is obviously Bethesda.
Yeah,
And the powerhouse of games that they bring to the table is just insane. You've got Skyrim, Fallout, which are 2 huge games, and you also have help me out.
Well, you've got the likes of Doom and Wolfenstein as well.
Yeah,
which are,
they're under
not-
that
they're not
Bethesda
big
umbrella,
Bethesda,
aren't they?
but-
but
Yeah,
they're
like-
under. Yeah, you got
They're
Fallout,
under the
Elder,
ZeniMax one.
Fallout, Elder Scrolls, and the upcoming Starfield are the big boys of Bethesda itself right now.
Yeah.
They've had previous titles in the past, but there's nothing that's particularly massive for them as Bethesda studio themselves right now, apart from those 3 titles. Because everything else that falls under the Bethesda umbrella is part of the ZeniMax umbrella through id Software and Machine Games. But they're the biggest ones. Elder Scrolls being one of the biggest games of the last 20 years through the various titles that it's had. Fallout, again, being humongous within the RPG world and changing a lot around how those sort of sci-fi RPGs have come to play on consoles. And the third one, I've already forgotten what I said.
And well, for me, this is very close to my heart because I spend a lot of money on Pokemon. In terms of I buy most of both versions. I think I've actually spent more money on Bethesda than Pokemon, which is huge. And that was only a revelation I came to probably this morning when I realised that I've spent a lot of money with Bethesda.
I don't think that's the case, Ryan. I'm pretty sure that is the case because
I've owned Skyrim 4 times.
You know what? I'm pretty close to that as well, to be fair.
Exactly. I mean, I've got PC, PlayStation 4. I think I've had it twice.
VR.
Already on the Xbox VR. So I've owned it on PlayStation 4 3 times then.
Switch.
Yeah. No. I've very much resisted the Switch. It comes on sale and
For
I see
now.
it, and it's like, oh, should
For
I?
now.
No,
I feel like I'd
maybe.
play it through again if it was on the. Mind you, Skyrim is just one of these games that I'll just play year in year
Oh,
out. Like I'll
I
play it
love
every
it.
year.
I absolutely love it. And for me, I remember, it probably testament to how well I did at university. I remember that game coming through my door in my third year of university, and I spent more time than any student should on Skyrim.
Already phoning for an
um,
extension when it dropped through the door.
exactly. I loved it. Absolutely love it. So the whole Bethesda sort of merger and buyout is a big thing for me.
Yeah, but just
It's
getting
my
sidetracked by Skyrim because I could talk about that all day.
Yeah, so
Um,
looking at those big titles then, what do we think that means for the future of Bethesda and other ZeniMax Studios titles on a multi-platform, now that they're technically under the Microsoft umbrella, and also what do you think that means for the future of those brands in themselves?
but yeah, it's like are Bethesda exclusive now? Because technically they're a first party studio for Microsoft, and that's like
Yep,
that's
I
that.
think that is the big question, isn't it, in terms of the sort of the clarification. I think that the news that's come out is that Bethesda can still self-publish, I believe, or they have an element of autonomy.
Yeah,
I think it's more
The-
around the way that what Mike. So I read this, and what Microsoft have basically come out and said is that they're not going to interfere in the way that they make their games.
Yeah,
They believe that the way that Bethesda makes their games is with passion, and they have the same ideologies that Microsoft have, and they don't want to change that. So they're not going to come in with their big rubber stamps and change everything around. They're basically going to go, you keep doing what you're doing, but when it gets to that end stage, that's where we come in and just sort out the deals and
yeah,
make sure that the game's going to where we want it to go. But with regards to the development side of it, we're not getting involved. It's
yeah.
like
right. I
I
mean,
essentially,
go on, Ryan.
I was going to say, I mean, because I guess there's the short-term and long-term problem. So the short-term problem is obviously the exclusivity deals you have with like Ghostwire and Deathloop, because effectively they have exclusivity deals with Sony, but any money now that comes out of that will effectively, in a roundabout way, go into Microsoft's pocket. So I think that in that respect, Sony probably aren't going to support them. Those games will probably just be a massive focus for Microsoft eventually, if they come, which I imagine they will. And Sony will probably just let them die and let them ride.
Yeah,
Elder
I mean,
Scrolls 6, go on.
you're probably looking at like I mean, I know those two were like exclusives as such, but
Yeah,
you're
they're only
gonna
timed, aren't they?
yeah,
They're only
time
yeah,
time
yeah,
exclusives.
yeah. So you're looking at those being on Game Pass as soon as they come out for 6 months, 12 months later for Xbox.
Yeah.
But it's like are Sony now gonna have to like compete with exclusives? So they're gonna like be forced to buy other studios and
Well, arguably, that's what's caused this in the first place. Is that Sony's put out such good exclusives that it's forced Microsoft to have to compete with them.
yeah, but
That
that's
you could argue it down that route.
exactly, but that's like leading to this console war mentality of like exclusives.
It is.
So it's like I mean I can't see Microsoft spending 7.5 billion and not having exclusive titles to their consoles or their platform.
See,
I just can't
my
see it.
gut feel is that I fully agree. I think that Microsoft's current track record of what they've done with their current studios, because obviously the Bethesda stuff doesn't sort of finalize until the second half of 2021, which, in honesty, given the way 2020 is going, couldn't come quick enough. But yeah, so you've still got, say, a year until the Bethesda stuff gets properly tied up. I think that you're probably not going to see the exclusives going straight away on everything. My gut feel is they're going to use the likes of Wolfenstein and maybe Doom as a tester to potentially move them onto Xbox only, and then I think Elder Scrolls
See,
6.
I think it'll be the other way.
You reckon?
You
See, I
you
think
use your big
Starfield and Elder
guns.
Scroll will be. I reckon
But
I don't think they can. I don't think they can shift.
if
I
you
don't
want
think
to
they
if you
will.
want to sell units though, if you want to sell consoles, you want to sell your ecosystem, you put your big guns in. So
Mm.
you leave your Wolfensteins and your Dooms to be multi-platform, and you say, right, well, if you want to play Elder Scrolls 6, if you want to get our big gun, then you've got to come to Game Pass, whether that be via PC or you come and fork out for one of our consoles. It gets you in the ecosystem, and Doom and Wolfenstein isn't going to pull people into the ecosystem. People aren't going to go out and buy Game Pass or a console to play Doom or Wolfenstein. They will do it for Elder Scrolls 6.
The worrying thing, I mean, and Shane, that I'm probably undeservingly optimistic of the games industry still.
Yes, you are. We've discussed this many times.
I want to believe that Elder Scrolls 6 and Starfield will remain cross-platform. However, and to plug the blog that I've just posted today or on Friday, I remember that Bethesda and Xbox have had a very, very good relationship for the last sort of decade or so. I played Morrowind, which was only on Xbox, and that was where I first met Elder Scrolls. I loved it, and then that was what made me buy Oblivion, which again was a timed exclusive on 360. So I think that there is a part of me where I've got my sort of biased opinion, which I'm like, please be on my primary console.
Yeah,
But you're right, and the concept of it going onto the Xbox only served to cement me buying an S at least, even if it isn't going to be the case. So they've done a very good job in that fact. They've sold me. I will pay 250 quid for an S just to play Elder Scrolls 6.
A view I did hear recently, and again I was discussing this with that fellow at work, is that is long term the Game Pass format financially viable long term with regards to profit margins?
I can't see it.
If you're spending like huge amounts of money with companies like Bethesda spending huge amounts of money to create this incredible, massive, huge game that takes 5 or 6 years to develop, to then stick it on Game Pass and have nobody pay full whack for it because they're all going to be getting it for free under Game Pass. Which makes me think the other thing that may happen, and I'm starting to feel like this actually could be more likely, is that it's going to be a 1-year timed exclusive, because then they can pull people into the Game Pass and pull people into the Xbox ecosystem, because people will still go, it's exclusive, because a lot of people don't understand timed exclusives or forget that they're timed exclusive and will just go and buy them anyway, or they will want to play it when it first comes out, and they will jump over to get into that ecosystem. But then because Microsoft will want to still make some revenue on that game, it will come over to PS5 a year later at £70 pop or £69 pop, whatever it is in the UK, when they figure out the new prices.
I mean, that's what PlayStation are doing now as well, aren't they? With PC.
And PlayStation have always said the reason they won't go down the Game Pass model is because long term it is not financially sustainable. So
I can't see it being sustainable at all.
No, there has to be a point, no matter how deep Microsoft pockets are, there has to be a point where they say, well, we can't just give away every single. Yes, we're getting however much money it is. I don't know how much Game Pass is. Was it like £10 a month or something?
It all depends on how and when you buy it, but yeah, it's anywhere between 10 to 40, I think, a month.
You can't turn around and say
a year, Christ.
Going to give every single person who has my subscription every single AAA title that we bring out for free on that, because you're never getting any revenue from anywhere else for those titles.
Yeah.
Which I don't see as a sustainable model. The other thing worth noting, which I think we often forget about when we discuss these fanboy console wars, that none of us really care for, to be fair, but the other thing we forget about is the Switch. And Bethesda have been a huge advocate of the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been pushing a lot of their titles, or working to try and get a lot of their titles onto the Switch. And I don't think that's something that Bethesda necessarily are going to want to come away from, because it's a completely separate market. And I think Microsoft as well will know that, well, the Switch it's not really competition for their big boy consoles. So it'd be interesting to see if they did something really cheeky and said it's a Game Pass Switch launch with a PlayStation a year later, just to be dicks.
Yeah, it's
There's-
entirely possible.
Yeah, I mean, there's two things there actually that's quite interesting because especially with the rumors of a Switch 2 coming out next year, if there is a more powerful Switch that's coming out, that could well lend itself to being quite nicely partnered with something like Elder Scrolls 6. But the other thing, I don't know why
Switch
I've
2,
completely
Skyrim
forgotten
2.
about.
Let's go.
Love it, let's do it. The other thing I'd completely forgotten about was VR. So I wonder then how this is going to work for if Elder Scrolls 6 has VR support, how that transitions into Microsoft's ballpark. Because PlayStation VR is a massive thing which they are not going to drop.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
if
and
they want that virtual reality side of things, there has to be an element of that unless you start going down the Oculus route.
Well,
I mean,
exactly. But even
difficult.
against Oculus, PlayStation VR is one of the most financially successful VRs due to its low price tag and compatibility with the PlayStation console, which was, as we know, sold 110 plus million.
Yeah.
So it already had a great base to be able to sell to, and then it sold it at compared to other VRs at the time, an extremely low price. So that's a big market you don't want to cut out.
I think you're right. It is probably going to be a timed exclusive.
Mike, have you got any other views?
Just that, yeah, I don't think they're going to cut out the VR market at all. I think, Skyrim, you look at Skyrim, you got Doom, and then there's a few others that were VR titles, and Bethesda seem to be working like pretty heavily towards bringing a lot of their titles VR.
Yeah.
So I reckon I think it'll either be timed exclusive or just available on all platforms, but day one will be Game Pass.
Yeah. It does raise, and I think maybe we'll start looking at tying up this conversation on this point. With Elder Scrolls, we've covered that big, and I think we can argue that Fallout is much like Elder Scrolls, just maybe a little bit smaller with regards to its overall popularity. But the big one will be Starfield, because that's a brand new title. It's described almost as the Elder Scrolls in space. But it's brand new, and I can see them turning around and just saying, "Right, well, we'll do that one exclusive."
Yeah,
the interesting thing is we've seen nothing on it. Like we have no idea
exactly
what this game is.
We've just got a tile, haven't we?
Exactly, and I think we got like a profile shot of a planet. I think.
I don't know. It was just the stars, and it just said the word Starfield with like a circle around it. So we've literally had the title.
I'm dreaming it up. Then it's
Everyone's so super hyped about it.
I can see that going fully exclusive because they've got nothing to lose by making that exclusive. You haven't got a fan base of Starfield players
there's
piss
nothing
off.
There there's nothing there to have to exclude.
No.
Exactly.
The only thing you do then is pull the Bethesda players across to Xbox. The people that are loyal to that sort of side of things. So, but I mean, I don't know if I speak for all of you. I'm pretty sure we've all discussed the idea that PlayStation 5 is where we're at. The S is going to be probably our companion console.
Yeah, I think we're all firmly in camp PlayStation.
Yeah,
just because we're so invested
But
but I mean, I'll get an S. I've got a One X that I can't physically play because I have no Xbox controller, but I'll get an S.
and we mentioned the Game Pass a lot, and I honestly think that is a major. Actually, it's a massive selling point against PlayStation. The Game Pass is a great value for money. The games that are available on it are the games that I want to play, but they're not. They're no longer the games I want to play competitively or religiously. I used to love Halo. Like Halo was what I was brought up on, and I loved it. As a friendship group and as an online community, I do not play it enough now, but I want to follow the story. Same with Gears.
Yeah, definitely. But I don't. I think we probably shouldn't get into that because we hashed that out last week, and I don't want to be rehashing last week's conversation. So maybe this is time. Maybe this is time we move forward to our final segment of the show.
Just before we do move on, I just want to say that just quickly that the first time in about 2 years, I turned my Xbox on today, and
how was it?
It was dusty.
Yeah.
But
really?
But I think this kind of Bethesda news is like a key point. It's a key changing point in the whole exclusive battle that Sony Microsoft got going on, and I think me turning on my Xbox and being like, what's this Game Pass about? And I bought like the £1 trial, and I'm downloading some games, but and I played a bit of Carrion, which is a pretty good indie title. But we'll just move on. But I just want to bring that up that I heard that beep today for the first time in 2 years, and I'm like,
and I can hear that beep in my head. I'm looking at my Xbox One now as we speak, and I can hear it turning on.
Yeah. But I think that was in light of that news from the Bethesda thing. I'm like, I'm already leaning into that the Xbox. The Xbox family.
Right. And it's not selling the console necessarily straight off the bat. It's selling you on the fact that you will get one and buy into this ecosystem eventually. They're not looking at necessarily winning you in the next sort of 2 months. They know they've got you.
Yeah.
They know they've got you.
Yeah,
it's just when they can. That is the question.
Definitely. Right, let's move on. We're just going to end up going around in circles here, rehashing the same stuff. So segment 3 today then. Our main topic of discussion, although we're already an hour in.
Yeah, bang on an hour. Yeah.
Segment 3, this week's is going to be video game worlds and universes that we would want to live in, and also ones that we would hate to live in. So I think the best way we're going to go around doing this, we'll start with Ryan, and we'll cover Ryan's first video game world that he would want to live in, and then we'll kind of work our way around. So Ryan, if you want to pick it up with what was your first game that you would world that you'd like to live in?
I've kind of got this shake on at the moment because I haven't spoken about Bethesda for about 2 minutes. So the first world that I would love to live in is 100% like Tamriel. Like I didn't put Skyrim in specifics. It would be the Elder Scrolls universe because I want to say it's the world that you can become anything that you want, providing you're born with a predestined ability to do so. But you can just have a lot of fun in that world. Everyone seems to suffer, but everyone seems relatively happy. And it's very easy to just get better at things. Do you know what I mean? You just hit a couple of things, and then you can level up, and you can carry more rolls of cheese, or you can stumble across a random corpse in a field and get a really cool helmet. You don't do that in real life. Like Skyrim has always just stuck me in because it's such an expansive world, but it's the small things in terms of the way that it's built that just makes it just thoroughly entertaining.
So interestingly, Skyrim's actually one of the worlds that I would hate to live in.
Yes,
it's actually down as one of my worlds. So Skyrim's my only involvement in. I've dabbled very, very, very loosely in Oblivion, and I absolutely hated it. Skyrim was my first real involvement in the Elder Scrolls series, and I got quite far, and then it crashed a million times, and I refused to play it anymore. But it's also brown and grey and dirty, and just all the colour of mud everywhere.
That's because it's the north.
I need a different colour palette. I need to be able to see other colours.
And this is why we don't go to visit Mike.
Yeah.
The north is brown, okay?
It's just brown, and there's just brown in between more brown to brown houses, and grey and brown, and even the people that aren't peasants look like peasants, and everyone's a peasant, and everything's brown, and I just can't cope with it.
All the leaves are brown.
But the magic and the sort of just everything that's going on.
There's magic in lots of games, and they're not brown. You can have magic and be other colours.
I need Mike to step in on this one because Mike wants to live in Skyrim, don't you, Mike? Please say you do.
I fucking love Skyrim. It's the best. It's brown for one.
It's brown. Yeah, I love it.
There's also more brown.
Reminds me of home.
You can be a cat. You can be a brown cat.
You can be a brown cat.
But yeah, it's seriously, I revisit Skyrim on a yearly basis. It's my comfort game. It's like a bowl of warm chili. It's just the best game. It's the best game. It's full of lore and intrigue, and like every time you play it, you kind of discover a little something new, and every time you play it, there's always something different that'll happen, and there's always like more secrets. Like the more you delve into that world, the more you get out of it.
More brown secrets.
So many brown secrets, mate.
So many brown and grey secrets.
I think we've got the title for the
Honestly.
podcast right there, Brown Secrets.
Yeah, brown secrets.
Just, oh, what's this secret over here? Oh, look, it's another brown cave.
Yeah, but sometimes though you go, and it's a real relief when you go into that
Sometimes.
cave and it's not brown.
And it's grey.
That's a real.
You
real
go in there and
treat.
you're like, oh my god, it's grey with a single orange flame in the middle.
I think the problem we have is that obviously me and Mike want to be in this immersive, almost wholesome Earth,
I
wholesome world.
wouldn't say Skyrim's wholesome.
Whereas Shane would rather be in an anime world, I think, with bright colours and crayons.
Shane
Not
just wants
necessarily.
anime titties, doesn't he?
I mean,
Animators.
not necessarily, but wholesome generally refers to something that's conducive of being good for your health or well-being. I don't see anything in Skyrim that's good for your health or well-being.
Cheese
If anything,
wheels.
There's probably a lot of plague.
Cheese wheels.
There's a
Cheese
lot
wheels,
of disease. I'm pretty sure people are pissing in buckets in that game.
Yeah, but they drink so much good beer, and they're always drinking. They're always happy.
I don't know if good
it's a
beer.
party. It's a
Good
party.
beer is the one.
Mate, have you tasted Blackbriar mead? Because
I haven't, no.
it's
I
top
have
notch.
had mead,
It's
but
top
not
notch.
that
It's to die for.
Yeah.
someone would
So,
say.
But
coming away from Skyrim then, right?
No,
Mike,
no.
What is
No,
your? We're
take me
coming away
back.
from Skyrim. We're moving
Take me
on.
back.
So,
I've got
Mike,
the shakes.
what's your next game that you would love to live in?
You know what?
Game world.
Just on the mention of beer and food, like the Monster Hunter world is like so good. When you sit down, you pay a little meal ticket, and just like there's like I don't know if you guys have played Monster Hunter. I don't know if you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very looking forward to it coming to the PlayStation Collection, so I can play it again.
Yes. Yeah. I think that'll be like another revamp for it.
Yes.
But it's such a good game. But besides having big swords and anime spin moves
Colours.
and
Other colours.
colours,
There's
yeah,
green. There's
more
a
than
lot
brown.
of greenery in that game. A lot
Yeah.
of greenery. There's some snowy areas. There's a bit of desert.
I'm just going there for the food. Just for the food.
Oh.
I want to sit down with a meal ticket. I want to pay the cat. I want him to cook me a delicious succulent meal.
I think we should have a triple XP hunt when the game comes out on the collectors on the
I'm up
PSP
for that.
collection, PS Plus collection. We'll all get together triple XP team hunt.
That's
Go and hunt
yeah.
us that giant
I'm
dinosaur.
down for that. Love
But
some-
no, I
Mm.
I agree. That is based. If you're talking about the food, I think that'd be I thought that'd be a great world to live in, and the armor looks pretty sick. I say the little palico cat things are cool.
yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't want to get eaten by the giant fucking monsters, but
yeah.
I mean,
Well,
that's
you
the
get a
thing.
big
though,
old
is
sword,
that
don't
is
you?
a world where everything wants to eat you. Like
Yes.
literally everything. Like Skyrim, at least you have the odd chance that it's not going to eat
Ryan,
you.
stop taking us back to Skyrim.
I can't. It's just Skyrim is life.
Skyrim is life.
Monster Hunter World, I agree. It's such a great game, but everything would want to eat you. You can't leave your compound without getting munched on.
Yeah, but you
I
take a
want
big
to be
sword, don't you?
Monkey.
So
Yeah, but if you're in it for the food, you don't need to leave your compound.
yeah,
Get
but then
other people.
so
to
you're
get
going to
your
wait for
food.
other hunters to bring their food in so you can eat it.
I feel
So-
like that's what Mike would do.
It sounds like a very Shane thing to do as well.
Yeah, I'm no hunter. I'm the intelligence guy. I'm the one
Shane,
who's making the spreadsheets of where all the monsters are.
yeah, you're basically the handler,
Exactly. I'm just
What, the
pre-planning
most
your hunts.
annoying-
just dressed
the
up as
most annoying
Chun-Li.
character. Yeah.
Yeah, that's me. That is the one. So then my first game that I've got down for love is, I don't know if it's one that you've dabbled in, Mike. I think you might have, and I'm sure Ryan has. It's the other world in Ni no Kuni. So not the human world, but the other like alternate world, the parallel world. that
Yeah,
we go
yeah.
into.
I know what you're talking about.
It's just, that's a wholesome world. That is the definition of wholesome right there. Everything is so super cute and pleasant. it's extremely colourful. If anything, it's probably a bit too colourful, but everything's colourful. All the characters are so well designed in that world. The different areas are so different. They're so vast between the deserts and the Greenland and the snow. Like it's like completely different ecosystems when you're crossing over between them. And even the monsters that try and attack you are somewhat cute. Like, there's nothing about that world that I didn't absolutely fall in love with when I was playing through that game.
But
And every time I went to a town, I just wanted to meet everyone in them.
I only played that for a few hours, not long. But
Did
you
you play
say
the first or the second?
the first one.
Okay, the best one.
You say it's like a wholesome world, but that is like from the start. That is a dark story.
Oh, it's a
Yeah.
dark game. Yeah.
Yeah.
The storyline is dark as balls. But the world itself is very colourful, very friendly, and every character you meet is very friendly towards you. I mean, obviously there's the bad characters, there's the evil ones, but on the whole, everyone's just looking out for each other and just being nice to each other. And it's just, if I had to live in that, and not just going in, like, if I go in as the protagonist, okay, fine. But if I was just an NPC living in that world, I imagine it'd be quite a pleasant place to live.
It's
Oh, yeah.
basically Narnia. It's just
Yeah,
Narnia.
it's like cheery music and shit.
But more Japanese.
Yeah, Japanese
Japanese
Narnia.
Narnia.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. So then, Ryan, to flip it round now, to switch the script, as they say.
Flip the script.
What is your first game you would hate to live in?
I'm going to be cheeky on this one, and I'm going to bunk two in the same one, only because the reasoning is the same. So,
Okay.
the two worlds I'd hate is GTA and Sims, because I know for a fact, knowing my luck, I would not be the playable character, and therefore would get screwed over at every occasion. These worlds, these poor like residents of these worlds of GTA and Sims, they just get shafted at every turn.
And that
I
was
know
me
that I would.
thinking you were going to say it's because you can't drive and you often piss yourself.
I can live with that. That's the thing, is I can live with that if that is my choice. What I don't want is for that to be forced upon me. I don't want to not be able to drive because someone has just, I'm there in my sort of my knockoff Ford Mondeo or whatever it is that I'm driving in GTA, and I get road off the side by some 13-year-old kid in a tank. Likewise, I don't want to be trapped in a swimming pool with no stairs out and have no say in it. If I want to be in that swimming pool without a side, I want that to be my choice.
Surely,
So, yeah.
Surely real life Sims is basically just Saw. Just
Yeah.
putting that out there. Like locking people in
Yeah.
a room and just letting them slowly go mad is
So
basically just Saw.
you've answered the question then. So why would you want to live in that world? If you weren't the playable character, why would you want to do that to yourself?
It's real life Saw, but everyone sounds like they're having a stroke.
Yeah.
It's basically The Sims.
I mean, the thing is though, Ryan, you are already living in The Sims because life. How do you not know How do you not know we aren't just The Sims for some greater being?
Well, in that case, this is a cry for help because I mean, I think that The Sims is just. I like to think that I haven't got a glowing diamond above my head, which is always like flitting between orange and yellow.
Maybe you just can't see it.
Maybe
Constant red.
If so, I hope that a podcast is a way to get to my handler, because they need to sort something out. But it's the idea that in these worlds you have zero. If you aren't the influencing playable character, like again Skyrim, you can live in that world. Like what's it called?
Well, yeah, but as you said, if you're born with predestined abilities, what if you're born as a little crippled kid in a farm that has 2 people and 1 chicken?
Because you still get to just do that because someone's likely to ignore you. Whereas in GTA or Sims, you're probably going to be the sort of the quest step, aren't you?
I mean, that's I see what you're saying.
So it's like, well, okay, you can't live nicely in either of those worlds, in my opinion. Which is why I put them two together, because it would just be a nightmare. I mean, that's my opinion anyway. I'm assuming that other people would love to live in GTA and Sims for the complete opposite reason, because they would like the adventure. But
I
fuck the
can't imagine
adventure.
anyone would love to live in The Sims because we basically are living in The Sims. There
This
isn't
is
even a
okay.
playable character in The Sims.
To be honest, I hadn't even thought about that, and now you've kind of just broken me a little bit.
Ryan's crying himself to sleep again tonight.
I need a minute, guys.
Think about it this way, Ryan. You know when you get that sense of deja vu?
Oh, please don't. I
What
don't.
if that is just where your game, that like our human game is fucked up and they've just reloaded the
They're
save?
reloading the save. Well, they should be reloading that save a lot earlier, is what I'm going to say to that guy. Because they've
What, so
reloaded that
before you
save
were
at the
born?
wrong.
Because they
I
fucked
mean,
up.
yeah, close to it at least. I mean, their scum saving is way off at this point. So
What about you then, Mike? What's your first hate game? World.
Fall Guys.
I mean, it's an interesting one because the idea of living in a world where you're perpetually forced
You are
to battle
forced.
other giant beans.
Yeah, you're a baked bean in a skin suit, you know, and you're forced to partake in this game show where you just, perpetually beaten to death, like thrown off things and just endlessly like respawned onto like the same game. And the music's annoying. Like, imagine if that just music was just constantly in your head, in your little bean brain. I just hate it there, man. I hate the game. I'm glad it's dying. I'm glad Among Us killed it off. There, I said it. I've got it off my chest.
I mean,
I feel like you have some unresolved issues here, Mike.
I've won a crown. I've won a few crowns.
All right,
And that's fine. That's fine.
I agree though. I get what you're saying. Like, if you had to live your entire life as a perpetual being being loaded into a perpetual mission to just have to run from one end to the other without falling down into an endless pit until you reload in and do it all again. That does sound like torture. That sounds like hell, like literal hell.
It's just far too happy for me.
But it's that kind of level of happy where it's you know that everyone's crying inside. It's not that happy where everyone's happy and genuine happy. It's clown happy.
It's like the Joker happy.
Exactly.
Definitely.
About to kill someone happy.
Exactly. I look forward to the Fall Guys Battle Royale that's going to come after when all these beans get sentience.
No. Did you see
That'd
on
be
Twitter the
inside drawing of their
the
skeleton?
official law of, like, I mean, imagine being that. It's ridiculous.
They're 6 foot, aren't they? They're taller
Yeah,
than me.
if you see the picture though, it's got like a forwards long bent neck that like bends downwards.
Yeah.
It's creepy. Creepy as.
It's pretty
You're
creepy.
right. You're right. That would be a horrible world to live in.
Imagine being
horrific.
that.
Providing you were a bean. If you were living in that world as an obstacle, for example, that's a different story.
Just a spandex wearing baked bean. Just forced to partake in Takeshi's Castle endlessly. Forever.
For someone's entertainment.
Perpetual Takeshi's Castle
Yeah.
is life. That's it.
That's pretty grim.
Shane, what about you, man? What's your most hated world?
I mean,
Apart
I
from
wouldn't say this is
Skyrim.
my most hated. It's just a world I'd hate to live in, and this is where you're going to learn that I'm a very simple man. And also just because I know I'm going to get more hate for this, but I don't hate Mario, but I would not want to live in the Mario
Episode 2,
world.
Mario sucks again.
I was going to say, on that, I mean, when I listened to episode 1, all I took from that episode was that you hate Mario. That's all
I don't
I'm just
hate
going to
Mario,
put that here now.
but-
So
Let me explain why I don't want to live in the Mario world. I don't like plumbing. As simple as that. If you ever tried plumbing, it's fucking horrible. It's so frustrating, and their entire world is based around plumbing.
Haven't
There's
they
pipes
phased him out as being a plumber? Like, he's no
There's
longer
still
like
too
a
much
scrap-
plumbing.
Yeah, there's
And
a lot of
and
plumbing.
and counterpoint is that if you are living in that world but you're not Mario, then your job isn't to plumb. It's Mario's job to plumb.
Yeah, but that means there's always broken plumbing everywhere, and that would get on my tits. It would frustrate me waiting for Mario to come along and fix the plumbing all the time.
Every time a big
Have you ever lived
like
in a house that doesn't have working plumbing? It's a nightmare. Like, I just can't deal with I need somewhere that's well plumbed. Obviously, it's going to get on my nerves.
So your one basis of not living in Mario's world is because you want a decent plumbing system.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
How do you know he's not
I
a good
mean-
plumber? Like, where's your evidence? Have you
He
got
might
like
be a good
a?
plumber. I'm not saying he's not a good plumber. I'm just saying there's a lot of plumbing-based things in that world that need dealing with. There's a lot of plumbing going on. There's a lot of running, like jumping down pipes that I can only imagine are smeared with shit on the inside. And he's going down them.
No one
like
ever
some...
discusses what's on the inside of those pipes.
No.
Exactly. He's going down them like
And
exactly
nor
like
should
he's at
we.
a fucking water pipe. And he's jumping down into these lower depths, which is just a sewage pipe full of Bowser's turds. And he's like, what? Going down them.
Not
And
just
this is
Bowser's.
just all of them. Goopers,
Toads,
whatever they are, the giant
Goopers,
bullets that are like
peaches,
flying
all of them.
tank.
All
So
of them.
yeah, fuck Mario's world. It's full of plumbing and it annoys me.
Also, you have like a really weak head. Everyone has a weak head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If
I don't want a
anyone
weak
jumps
head.
on your head, or like if anything drops on your head, dead.
That's the other thing.
Done.
I don't want to have to be constantly looking up in case someone's going to jump out of off of a ledge above me and land on my head.
You know, it'd
If
be
you're
a
crush
good.
me into a little ball.
you fall down a hole.
You know, it'd be a good business strategy in the world of Mario. Hard hats. Hard hat
It would
salesman.
be.
Can you
Hard
imagine?
hat salesman and better plumbing. Because if there was better plumbing, Mario wouldn't have a job. He wouldn't have to keep doing all this shit. Bowser wouldn't be able to come and steal Peach because there'd be no plumbing for him to disappear down.
Obviously, this is serious talk now. If you were the sole proprietor of a business that provided hard hats and decent plumbing in Mario's world, would that make it a love world? Because you'd be super rich, probably
No,
more rich
because
than Bowser.
it sounds like a lot of work.
Fair
There's
enough.
it's a lot of plumbing. Like
So
it sounds like I'd have my work cut out for me. And
Nothing could redeem Mario's world.
Far too much plumbing there, mate.
the only thing that redeems the entirety of Mario's world is I would like to go on vacation to Luigi's Mansion. I can
Okay.
deal with that. There's no plumbing there. I'm not a fan of hoovering, but if it's hoovering ghosts, I can deal.
Okay, if you're talking like wider, then you've got the free access to space, which you don't currently have in this world.
I mean, there's fuck all up there. Why would I want to go up there?
Well, you don't know that.
There's also no plumbing in space. There's no plumbing anywhere in space. What about if I want to have a bath?
I feel like plumbing is quite a sore point for you.
Yeah, I feel like there's some deep-seated issues here.
I just, honestly, give me electrics any day. 'cause
Which
plumbing
plumber
makes me
hurt you?
angry.
Is your plumbing okay at your house at the moment, Shane?
It is, but I had to do a lot. I did a lot of my plumbing myself, and I ended up having to fucking loads of it up and having to get my cousin around to fix it, and it's just a nightmare. So let's move on from Mario and his shitty plumbing land.
Plumbing world, yeah.
So Ryan, your second love world.
I mean, it has to be Pokemon, right? It has to be the Pokemon.
I'm surprised that
planet.
wasn't your first, to be fair.
Well, the first was because I was getting the Bethesda shades, so I just needed to get Skyrim and say it one more time, and I've just bought myself an extra 5 minutes there.
Skyrim.
You get to be born, and which is always nice. Then at 10 years old, you get given a Pokemon that you go and battle shit with, and it grows up to be a dragon or a lizard or anything, and you can control the weather. Like, that is a pretty impressive ability to have in your pocket.
When I was 10 years old, I used to throw my cat at people. Does that count
Exactly.
as Pokemon?
Who doesn't want to throw their animals at other people?
I do have a genuine question, because due to the fact that in Pokemon, both the games and the series, nobody ages. What happens when how old do you get where you stop being a trainer? Like, what is the legal age of no longer being a trainer?
I can actually tell you a little bit of lore on that. So I can't tell you about gym leaders because that's pretty much whenever you probably die, I guess. But
You're like 90 years old. Go Pikachu!
Yeah, like you're on the wrong end, the receiving end of like a bad flamethrower or something like that just sets you alight that final time.
You throw Pikachu and he cuts out your pacemaker.
Exactly. It's just those are the sort of things that you kind of just want to watch. But it's no different to sticking your finger in and like a plug socket. Like in but in Alola, to be a trial captain, they stop being a trial captains around their 20s, and then I think they retire and die. But I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that second part.
That's the only part I'm going to quote you on, if anything.
I mean, to be fair, I can counterpoint the fact there are some terrifying Pokemon on there. I mean, there's one Pokemon, for example, that if you look into its back, it basically kills you instantly, and it takes your soul. And there's a Pokemon that is shaped like a balloon that steals children away because they think it's a balloon. Then as
Oh
well,
yeah,
turn it
yeah.
into them.
And you
But
like
they're
read the
also
descriptions, they're really fucked up, aren't they?
I
That
know.
would all,
But,
I feel like you would enjoy that sometimes, though. Just like,
well,
oh,
you know,
that balloon's coming.
it is what
Sorry-
it is. You know,
Sorry, child. I'm just going to go over here and get an ice cream. You just wait there while that balloon heads over.
it's Darwin's equivalent of picking which one's going to be a good Pokemon trainer and which one's not. You know, if you can't tell the difference between a toy balloon and a Pokemon that's clearly shouting its name while flying into the sky, then maybe you're not fit to be a Pokemon trainer. Just saying.
That's fair.
Maybe you should
The
be
other-
carried off. Go on, Shane,
The
sorry.
other point I'd like to make is no, you're fine. The other point I'd like to make is I don't understand how the economy works in Pokemon because it appears that every 11-year-old child has like $5,000 on them, but there is no business anywhere for people to actually make money.
I think
It's
you
very
just got
confusing.
the message is you've just got to be the very best, Shane, and then
but-
that won't be a problem. It won't be a problem to you. The economy doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Won't
but
matter.
the economy does matter because I'm
As long
confused.
as you, but as long as you're the very best, Shane. If you're not the very best, then you may as well not live in that world. I plan to be the very best in Poke-Earth.
No,
So
that's fine. But will you not have any regret when you take $5,000 from the 11-year-old and then they have to go live on the streets because they've got no money left?
not at all. They knew what they were getting into.
And still, where does that money come from?
Again, they knew what they were getting into. They chose this life.
Also,
You choose
what
the
sort of
Pokemon
economy?
trainer,
Get what
has
you
a,
fucking
what
deserve.
was Pokemon? It was red or blue, wasn't it? Where the bike was like 10 grand. What sort of
It was $1 million.
economy has a push bike that's $1 million? A fucked up one. That's one.
No, it's one that really cares.
One that
about
probably had
people.
20 years of COVID lockdown and is now
It's
trying
one-
to get it back through push
It's
bikes.
one that it really encourages people to get out, stretch their legs, and walk because it's better for you to walk than it is to cycle. Therefore, you are fitter in the long run. That's why.
I don't disagree with that, but it also doesn't make sense in their economy.
No, it doesn't.
Just putting that
But
out there.
again-
Their economy doesn't make any sense.
Just to reiterate, if you're the best, Shane, doesn't matter.
Shane,
That is actually.
Shane, you've been pretty negative so far. Like, come on, give
Come
us
on.
something you love.
Give us one that we can't
Right.
refute.
I'm going to go out on. I've got two more, but I'm going to go out. I'm going to pick this one next because I think it's one that none of you guys would have thought of, and it's a little bit out there, and it is the Metal World from Brutal Legend. Did you guys play Brutal Legend?
Yeah,
What a
I'm
terrible
fully with you
game.
here, man. All the
What
way
a
in.
terrible game.
It's a fantastic world where
It's a good
everything is
game.
based around. It's a great game. It got something like 8 out of 10. on-
Yeah, it was
on
well
its
reviewed.
Reviews. Yeah, it was really well reviewed.
I loved
remember
it.
playing it. It was great. But yeah, an entire world based around metal bands where everything is just metal based and there's constant amazing music being played and you can get a magic guitar that you can use to fight people.
Can I
What is there
clarify?
not to love about this
Is-
game?
The only
Is this-
downside
Is this the Cat
is
Black one?
yeah.
Is this what?
Oh, no, then yes, this is a great game. What's
And-
the one I'm thinking of?
That was my only downside being that you have Jack Black's like constant quips just in your ear. Is the only
But
downside
then
to that.
if you lived there, you wouldn't have that. But I think that'd be a great world to live in.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
only if you. I mean, obviously, if you're a fan of rock and metal, otherwise
Well, you're not-
you probably
You're not
hate it.
hardcore unless you live hardcore.
Exactly.
what they say.
But yeah, it was a great game. You got to do magic guitars and concert. It was like a fun version of Mad Max. It was just
But-
great.
Would it not drive you insane though, having like very little downtime where your head isn't being like battered?
Well, no, they still have
With
nights.
metal.
You can still sleep. You still go
No,
to
but-
bed and stuff.
There's still
They
that metal though.
Yeah, but it's metal
it's not-
24/7.
That's what I mean. Like metal 24/7
You
is
get
the
used
sort
to
of
it.
thing that,
I need
Would it?
some funk and soul. I need some
yeah.
blues every now and then.
You can introduce the funk and soul and blues. You can bring it in.
But then the world of Brutal Legend is no longer that world that you so coveted. So,
Well, I would much rather have a world of metal than a world of brown.
yeah.
Don't you come at me with that Skyrim brown.
He's brought Skyrim back into it once again. Now he's the one that wants to talk about Skyrim.
No, we're
Hey,
not talking
Skyrim.
about Skyrim. We're moving on. We're moving on. Mike, hit us with yours. Hit us with your love.
What else have I got? Oh, you know what? I don't think I can end on this because The Last of Us. I fucking love that world. It's so brutal and like
It's this
Such an
world.
odd world to love.
yeah, but it's
this
so
world
fucking
in proper
brutal and
time, like.
it's so brutal and fucking visceral and like it's just an honest world. Like that's just how shit will go down if you know we all turn into fucking mushroom zombies after the bad plumbing in Mario World.
Accurate, but why would you want to live in that world though, where you're constantly having to watch your back? It's constant fear of death, and
Well-
it's violent as fuck.
well, like
what appeals to you about living in it?
Well, like a challenge, mate.
All it takes is for you to breathe in that one spore and you become a mushroom,
Yeah,
which is also similar to Mario, I imagine.
I'd be
How
there
many
like
mushrooms it
like
takes.
Scarface, like snorting it up.
Is that why you want to live in it? You just want to be a mushroom?
Yes,
I just want to live
yes.
my life as a mushroom.
Yeah,
Why not?
that's it.
Why
I
not
think it'd be
become a
sound.
mushroom?
I think it'd be
I
good
mean,
being a clicker.
I'm going to have to disagree with you on that one. I don't think that'd be a great world to live in, but you know,
I
each to
mean,
their own.
But you know
I'm
what?
Shade on this one.
I'm
It's-
I'm pretty sneaky. I think I could survive in that world. I think I'd be okay. Like, I'm
Okay, so
pretty heartless. I'm pretty quiet on my feet. You know, I think I'd last alright. I think I'd last quite long.
who would you ally with then? Would you be a firefly? Would you be is it a seraph? What are the other ones?
Seraphite. I wouldn't be a
Yeah, or
Seraphite at all.
no. Who was Abby part of? What was that one?
Oh, the how's it?
What were they called?
It's on the
The
tip of my tongue, but I
Yeah, I want to
can't
say
think
like wild dogs, but that's not right at all. um. Oh
Would you
shit!
be
What are
part
they
of the
called?
wild? Would you be part of the wild dogs?
I mean, it sounds like a cheerleader band, so I'm all in. I am straight in.
I'll be honest. It's the one I definitely 100% disagree with on this list. It's probably the
That's
most
what I mean.
horrific of
It's
all
like
of the world.
it's so out there, but I have my reasons. I have my reasons.
I mean, Shane. I know why Shane doesn't want to because the plumbing is terrible in The Last of Us.
The plumbing's
I mean,
fine in The Last of Us. You
The
just have to be in the
plumbing,
right spot.
I can deal with the plumbing in The Last of Us. It's just I can't deal with the constant fear of being killed.
But you also
I
have that
don't mind the fear
constant
when
fear
you
in
by the
Mario.
plumbing.
Like you can't even take a shit without being without something bursting in and ripping your throat out and turning you into a mushroom. Imagine if you turned into a clicker that was one of the ones that gets stuck to the wall, but you're just stuck to the
Yeah.
toilet with your pants down.
That's
What
what I
way-
mean.
what
I
way
love
to
a
go.
challenge, mate. I love a challenge.
Oh wait, go.
Fair enough. Well, actually, we'll wrap it up with our last hates then. Ryan, have you got another hate or
Just wrap it
not?
up with hate.
We'll just wrap it up with our world that we'd hate to live in.
I mean, I think it's more of an overarching anywhere that I would not be the playable character, and I would be privy at the whims of someone else,
Fair. Okay.
where they can literally just steal my like Fable. Fable would be another example of that, where there's a guy that comes swaggering over and then either tries to kill me, steal my stuff, or marry me. I want to have a bit of a say in it. I don't want to, be told that they've said the right thing and therefore I've married them. That's that.
That's fair enough. No, that's fair. I get that. My again, just pointing back to how simple-minded I can be sometimes. My other key one for hating to living in, the one that I wouldn't want to live in at all, is Wolfenstein. It's mostly just because I don't like Nazis. I think most people don't like Nazis, and that world is only good to live in if you're a Nazi. Really.
Well, I think
I mean, go on.
I was just gonna say, headshotting a Nazi is the most satisfying thing you could ever do.
Yeah, and Nazis in video games are great because they are the world's like perfect enemy in video games. Like everybody loves killing Nazis in video games. It makes a game instantly more gratifying when they're Nazis because they're ultimately hated by everyone. Historically, just hated. So like the concept of something being a Nazi, or even something being kind of modelled after Nazis, like Killzone. They weren't Nazis, but they kind of were Nazis.
Like space Nazis.
Space Nazis.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were space Nazis. But in Wolfenstein, the Nazis win ultimately, and the only person that can stop them is good old BJ. And don't get me wrong, I love BJ Blazkowicz, But if you're not BJ Blazkowicz, it's a shit world to live in if you're not a Nazi.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, if you're not going to be sort of have your head put on someone else's body, it's not a life. It's not a world that's worth living in, is it?
No, you've either got to be a Nazi or BJ Blazkowicz. Otherwise, you might as well just not bother because they've got giant robotic dogs for starters that breathe fire.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't really disagree with this point without sounding like a Nazi sympathiser of some kind.
Exactly, it's the perfect argument.
It's not even while I'm comfortable playing devil's advocate on this one. I have to just let you have that saying. You've got to take it away.
Got it.
Off you go,
Don't live in any game where the Nazis are winning.
You've got it. Sold.
Right, to finish off then, Mike, what's your final game you'd hate to live in?
It's just Minecraft in it. It's fucking shit. That's it. That's all I've got to say.
I feel that I'm not a lover. I played Minecraft many a time back in the day, but the world itself is not one I would want to live in.
Nah, it looks shit.
What about if it was? I'm assuming you're talking the survival world. If you were given the creative world though, where you were living in it and you could just do whatever the fuck you wanted.
You know, I hate that even more because it's just I can't see outside of the blocks and squares. Like everything just looks like a square.
Also, counterpoint. In that world, you can't pay someone else to build your shit. It's a lot of work. You have to dig all those blocks up yourself. You have to go and lay them all down yourself. It sounds like a work that's a lot of physical labour.
Yeah. You're just essentially just a labourer, like endlessly.
Free labourer.
Yeah.
And your entire life is labouring.
Also, I mean, I play Minecraft quite a lot with my daughter. There isn't a lot of plumbing available in it. I'll be honest.
That is true. There is no plumbing.
Well, this changes things.
So there's no plumbing whatsoever, and I've got to spend my entire life laying basically bricks made of mud.
I don't want to speak for the how this podcast is going to go forward, but I'm definitely expecting you guys to review games going forward only based on their plumbing capabilities. I don't want to hear about the graphics. I don't want to hear about the gameplay or the combat.
What's the plumbing
like? I want to hear about a plumbing review of games. Horizon Zero Dawn, really shit. Honestly, there's no plumbing anywhere to be seen. Could have been a great game if it had decent plumbing. Simple as that.
Well, maybe this could just be a bit of a podcast triple XP lore. Maybe the P stands for plumbing.
So,
you never know.
I mean,
there you go.
I'm calling it now. Cyberpunk. It'll have great plumbing.
Do you reckon? I don't think it will. I think it will be like slum level plumbing.
I think it's going to be 5 out of 10 plumbing. That.
Yeah, 5 out of 10
I
at
think
least.
Solid plumbing. Solid plumbing.
Well, we'll see. Fast forward.
There's a lot of electronics. They don't want water everywhere. They've got to protect their electronics. You know, the plumbing will be solid.
19th of November, we'll find out just how solid that plumbing is, Shane.
We will do indeed. But we've hit the hour-and-a-half mark, so or just a little bit past that actually. So we're going to wrap it up now. We should be wrapping up now anyway.
Yeah.
So
sounds good.
Ryan, it's
yes, thank you for having me.
Have you today? It's been great to get your voice out there as well, as you are a key member of the Triple XP team along with everyone else. So just a reminder, we launch our podcast episodes every Monday. Did we settle on a time, Mike? Were we sticking with the morning?
Yeah, I think it was morning UK time, so like 8.
Around 7-8 a.m. UK time.
We definitely settled on exact time, about 7 or 8ish.
Yeah, we did, didn't we? Yeah, that's what.
Ballpark.
I think it was technically 7. We settled on 7 a.m.
Yeah, 7 a.m.
UK time.
There you go. It's written in stone now. 7 a.m.
There it is. We've
Monday
said it,
morning.
Therefore, it's now on the internet. Therefore, it's happening. And on a Friday, Ryan launches our Triple XP blog, which he writes from his perspective. And he gives us a little bit more insight into the team, into some views around some of the news going on in the week. And that doesn't have a set time. That will just release that on the Friday when it's available, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Mike?
Yeah, so...
Where can they find us?
They can find us on Spotify, YouTube, all the good places, like wherever you get your podcasts, we're usually knocking about. And, if you...
Don't forget Twitter.
Oh yeah,
Don't
Twitter.
forget that Twitter, because we've got the
Twitter.
old link tree on there.
Yeah, the Twitter link tree is pretty cool. It's up there in the bio. You'll find it. You're a talented bunch that listen to this, I'm sure. But yeah, I just want to say that like if you enjoyed this absolute shit show, then like hit subscribe and all that good stuff because it does like help us out. I think that's about it from us.
Yeah, and that's
Anything else
that's
to add?
something that well, that's something that we've both discussed that we really wanted to just not necessarily drive home, but we wanted to make clear that we're not doing this for money. We're not doing this to for anything of that nature. Our plan is to never make any sort of paid tiers for this podcast.
Yeah, there's nothing
So
like that.
the only thing that would really help us is those hitting the subscribes, hitting the follows, leaving reviews on the relevant podcast apps. And that's all we ask for, just those few seconds of your time if you can spare them and you enjoyed what you heard, and we will never ask for anything else from you.
Yeah,
Essentially.
nothing at all apart from maybe your bank details or whatever. But
maybe.
Yeah, no,
That'll
we
come
won't.
in an email.
Never, you know.
So that's that then. Ryan, have you got anything you want to sign off with?
No, it's been great fun. I look forward to the future ones as well. I look forward to listening to this back. I look forward to the future of Triple XP.
Yeah.
And for anyone that listened today, Ryan will probably be back on to guest again in probably around 8 or 9 weeks. We haven't finalised the date yet, but it'll be within the next couple of months. He'll be back to talk us through, probably just after the PS5 has come out, and talk us through what's happening with that.
If I'm allowed to, you can always do #BringBackRyan, and we can push it forward earlier if that's what you want to do. But it's up to you guys, listeners. So, yeah.
Or you can also do #NeverLetRyan on again.
Yeah,
That's it. There we
more
go.
likely.
Let's see which one trends first.
Right. Well, that's it from me. So I'm
Okay,
going to
yeah.
say goodbye.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Triple XP. Triple XP. Triple XP.